like I'm a bit cool, you know, in my friend groups.
You are incredibly cool at Limood.
Yes.
You're a celebrity of Limood.
Yeah.
I have literally felt like a beetle. So I'm like it's been crazy. It's been almost hard to socialize because people don't want to they just want to say hi and bye.
Yeah.
And so people will be like, I just want to say hi, I love you. And then just like,
they're like they do that.
okay, like see you later.
Is that a fan thing or is that a British thing? Because I feel like
I think it's a British thing because an American came up to me and her interaction was like, my brother's obsessed with you. Can I add you to a WhatsApp?
Yes.
You should start every podcast. And here is our moment of silence.
because everyone has stopped forgetting the Holocaust.
Or just choose like a different Jewish tragedy, like thing. And this one is for the massacre of you.
We've been told so many times that we shouldn't be sleeping in York tonight because Jews don't sleep in York.
Because like the rabbis, there was a huge massacre.
There was actually a massacre in York.
And then like in the 1000s. And then like the rabbis instituted that you shouldn't live or sleep there.
Stop.
And so we were like, we're going to York. And then one of my friends' moms was like, oh.
And I was like, we're going to be like staying in Germany for a week. I think like if we can stay in Germany, we can stay in York.
Like have a great time in Berlin, but why are you going to York?
God, rabbis love making rules and being like, this applies right now, and so it's gonna last.
I mean, it's kind of the equivalent of like when you're in high school. Like, we're going to be friends forever, you guys. This will be for always.
For always. The rabbis, just all of the rules they make, they're like, we're best friends forever. So forever, no one should eat a shellfish either.
I'm not going to sleep. No, you don't sleep at York. I'm not going to sleep there either.
Let's make a pact. Welcome to Yenta, everybody. Hello. Oh my God, this is so exciting. This is a special on the road episode of Yenta. Obviously, I'm without my co-Yenta Ray, but I have two incredible co-Yentas, Skye and Shoshana. I forget both of your last names, but
Shoshana Gottlieb.
Skye Becker.
And wait, what? Say that again?
Skye Becker.
Becca.
Sorry,
Becker.
Oh my God.
There's a hard
stupid accent. And I only forget your last names because you, I know as Jewish memes only.
Yes.
Which is
what my friends call me.
That's your given name.
Yes.
That's actually your Hebrew name. It's Jewish memes only. So Shoshana, I know because I followed you on the internet for a while. Actually, I don't think I literally followed you, but I just see your memes constantly because you're like a big deal in the Jewish funny internet world.
Again, a very niche world to be
very niche world
to be a big deal in,
but you're huge. My God, I mean, this is probably our biggest celebrity guest ever on Yenta. So welcome to Yenta. If this is your first time viewing because you're here to fangirl over Shoshana, we are a podcast that is sometimes about Judaism, sometimes about queerness, and always about gossip. If you're here, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Yenta. It's where we put all of the gossip that is literally so juicy that if it were on the regular internet, we would be canceled. So it's incredible stuff. It's like all basically Sex in Israel on our Patreon. Very affordable prices. So worth your time. Go check that out. I'm Antonia Lissar, and I'm so excited to talk to you too. So we're at Limood, and the way that this podcast came about was that
we were just sitting at the bar.
We were sitting at the bar talking shit, the sort of the point of Limood.
Yeah.
And we were and my podcast came up, and I thought, and you said, without knowing about my podcast, you said, gosh, we should be a podcast.
Yeah.
And I said, we can be. And so we found this abandoned conference room, and now we're here to talk some shit for you. Also, listener, important things to note. Shoshana is Jewish memes only, the famous Jew of the internet. And Skye is a famous actress, incredibly famous.
So famous.
Incredibly famous.
I did a really successful KFC ad in Australia that like you might have seen.
Honestly, you might. If you're in Australia, you've probably seen that ad.
Truly my claim to fame.
Oh, our listeners love
The
Australia.
internet right now.
And also, most importantly, you're in love and engaged.
With each other.
I think it's important to note that I've been like quite censored on Shoshana's page. So like this is kind of like the unveiling of me.
Oh my gosh.
This has been the first time where I've like not been censoring Skye's face.
Yeah.
This is huge.
Yeah.
So we were censoring her face like a baby whose privacy.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Like action.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Good for you. That's really responsible media parenting. Can you first set the scene for our listeners? A lot of them don't know what Limood is and have no idea why I would be doing this crazy on the road episode. So what is this insane Limood thing that we've been at all week?
Limmud is a Jewish conference. I think they refer to it as a festival of Jewish thought because you have to have like a wanky way of describing things. It doesn't make odd sometimes.
Why don't do festivals with drugs?
No, Jewish thought.
With classes.
And it's basically just like a way for people to share ideas about like literally anything in the Jewish world. Yeah, that's about it. And you don't have to be a teacher or a rabbi or a scholar to stand up and teach. It's supposed to be democratizing. So I'm pretty sure at the original Limmud's, like they didn't use titles. So if you were a rabbi, you just came and you were your first.
Oh my God.
Because I think it was like the 70s or 80s. And so it's very much about everyone's on equal like footing. You don't have to be learned to come here. It can be your first time. It can be your 20th time. And you still have something to offer, which is like actually like amazing.
I love that actually.
But also it is a bit farcical in that just it's sprouted its own culture of insane Jewishness and just insaneness full stop.
I love that they're like, we're not elitist here. Okay. Any old white man can lecture you.
And can lecture you in someone else's session.
Every single session has this cohort of a couple old white men who are there because they would like to be running the session. Mm-hmm. And they will try and take over.
Yeah.
Shoshana had a session where this guy just spoke to this girl the entire time. He only stopped to make a comment. Like he literally continued talking the entire session. And I was sitting there. I was
oh my God,
doing Shoshana's like slide changes. And I was sitting there looking at him like this. And he every now and then would
told
look at
him.
me. Yeah. And I'd be like
death stare.
And so he kind of stopped towards the end. But crazy.
I'm a teacher, so like that did not faze me. I was like, wait. There's only one person in here talking. Like, that is fantastic odds for me.
Huge success.
I can tell you there's not 15 teenage boys just like doing their own thing in the back of class. Like that's great.
It's insane. And so also Skye, like you've basically been Shoshana's manager here.
100%. Yeah.
But also like this is Skye's first Limood.
Yeah.
And so it's been really funny. Like she'll be like, so this thing happened. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, it only happened once. Like it's crazy.
Well, so this is my first Limood as well. Yeah. Can you like give me some of your hottest Limood takes as a first timer?
It's so democratized that literally everyone has a voice at all times. Is I think my biggest takeaway. Yeah, people love to derail the speaker from what they're trying to convey and share. It's an interesting bunch of people. Like everyone's just like the sweetest little nerd in the world, which like I count myself in that cohort, so I say it with love.
You're just like the hot, cool version.
When we were first starting today, at a certain point, I was like we were like talking about like how our friend groups are different and similar, and I was like, I think Skye is the coolest thing about me, and I am the nerdiest thing about Skye. because we both like like I'm like not to toot my own, like, I'm a bit cool, in my friend groups. If they listen to this, I'm like, this stupid bitch. But like I'm a bit cool, but like not like
And
Skye.
you are incredibly cool at Limood.
Yes.
You're a celebrity of Limood.
I have literally felt like a beetle. So I'm like it's been crazy.
Someone was walking behind us that we know, and she caught up to us. She was like, you have no idea how many teenagers freaked out after they passed you, like in this one stretch of hall.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but it's also been like a funny, like we're here also a bit to socialize, but it's been almost hard to socialize because people don't want to, they just want to say hi and bye.
Yeah.
And so people will be like, I just want to say hi, I love you. And then just like,
They're like, they do that. And they're like,
okay, like see you later.
Is that a fan thing or is that a British thing? Because I feel like
I think it's a British thing because an American came up to me and her interaction was like, my brother's obsessed with you. Can I add you to a WhatsApp?
yes.
She's like, give me your phone number.
And then like, hey, mamas looked me up and down. It's like literally 14. And I was like, she was like, nice to meet you. I was like,
Almost
it was so funny. These kids have chutzpah.
It's so fun.
so good. I had a line in my stand-up show here that has been quoted back to me more than any other line in my stand-up show, which was that I feel like the demographics at Limood are either young and gay, young and incredibly gay, or old and incredibly grumpy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that feels to me so accurate. That's why I said it. But like the young gay nerds here is like a noticeable demographic.
Yes. And it's like camp. I think that's the other thing that I was going to say. It's literally, it's like school plus camp all at once.
Yes, yeah, because you're in classes constantly.
And then you're we were saying it's like the most overwhelming noise. I describe it to Shoshana like it's the noise that I hear before I faint. Like it's just like this kind of rumble in my ears. Like, yeah.
But I think it's also like it's interesting because when this started, and again, I don't know if it's the 70s or the 80s, but the people who would have felt a bit marginalized but also empowered to do something like this were like young, nerdy white guys who were left-leaning.
Yeah.
And they have aged through the Limmud system. So now they're old, grumpy men, but the people who are coming in after them are like women, queer women, gay men, like literally binary people.
Yeah, so many AFAB.
And so then it's all of these like Limood has gotten younger and queerer because those are the demographics who feel like they don't have space in broader Jewish community.
I think that's such a good point. And one day, people will be complaining that their sessions got taken over by old lesbians.
Like, and yeah, 100%. It's the same thing. Like when I was studying in Israel, the teachers, like kids would be like the teachers aren't like left wing enough for us. And I'm like, these are female rabbis teaching Talmud. I'm like, these are women who like had to fight like tooth and nail to get into the classroom with someone who's willing to teach them Gemara. And now they're like, and now you're like, oh, they're not woke enough for me. What do I want? It's like so funny, and it's just the same.
These rabbis are the lesbians the Talmud warns about.
Literally, yes.
You were telling me an incredible Talmud bit because I just did a session on jokes of the Talmud, and you were like, I've got a really good one.
Well, it's not a joke in the Talmud. I need to preface. It's a very serious. The Talmud discusses a very serious. It's a serious matter. Because the Talmud talks about everything in the human condition at different points and how do we deal with that within a religious framework. And one of the things it talks about is lesbianism. But the word it uses to describe lesbian acts is, I also think it's important that parts of the time they're describing or talking about lesbianism is in relation to who can a priest marry? Like who can a Kohen marry?
Oh.
So can a Kohen marry someone who's converted? No, a divorcee, all of this stuff. And one of the people was like, if he wanted to, could a priest marry a lesbian? And like, that's also just funny because we only consider female sexuality in relation to how men might want to marry them. So good. But it uses this word to describe them. It says women who engage in this certain act, keep your wives away from them. And so then the rabbis who are trying to understand the Talmud are trying to figure out what this word, the word is masololot. They're trying to figure out what it means. And so Rashi, one of the most famous commentators, comes along and he says it's women rubbing their genitals together, which I think is funny because you just imagine the rabbi like explaining scissoring to all of his rabbinical students. And then for the rest of time, rabbi standing in classroom, because Rashi is really important.
Right.
Like next to...
I'm an idiot and I know his name.
Right. Like, so like Rashi is like... It's like in order to learn anything in Judaism, you have to learn it with Rashi. And so just any teacher for the rest of time in like Judaism and Jewish ritual being like, okay, so Rashi says here that this is what we're doing in this space. I'm just like, it's so funny.
There's students drawing diagrams of this. Interesting. How does it fit? Do they have any splits?
Like, could they be doing it in like this way?
No, this doesn't make a lot of sense.
So funny. And the other part that's really funny is that like when the Torah, or when the like Talmud is describing these women, they're not saying the Torah says you cannot be a lesbian, because the Torah says a lot of things. It never actually refers to female sexuality, again, because in ancient times, female sexuality was not something that we considered like a thing, right? It's for the sake of like her husband. But the piece of advice they give is don't let your wives near the women who know how to do sex well. They're like, we're going to have an issue on our hands, which is that they won't come back to our beds. So keep them away from those ladies. Like it's
so iconic. They're like, we hear they've invented something called the clitoris.
And witches.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
The witches.
We don't know where to find it, but they do.
They do.
The mystical. I feel like there's a pun with mystical and clit, but clitstical.
Nice. Yeah, I think we got it. Yeah. We can find it.
Yeah. That's got legs.
And that's been the podcast.
You're welcome, everyone. See you later. Hey, so what kind of Jewish upbringing did both of you have?
Pretty much opposites, I'd say.
Yeah, complete.
I grew up in a modern Orthodox family, but in Sydney, pretty much the only option for Jewish education, if you want your kids to have like robust skills, is a Chabad school.
Yeah.
So I grew up going to, like, I was, again, modern Orthodox, but like the way I talk about the Torah a lot is very Chabad and like the Rebbe and
yes,
and that. And then also my own journey after that of, you know, now I'm gay.
What?
Did Chabad do that? Who knows?
Yes.
I can't
Go to Chabad.
I'm them coming after. So that's my background.
Chabad is so close to just literally saying that like God is trans. Like,
yeah,
you know, like I feel like
I need to see where you're going with this one. I agree. Before I agree,
they teach Kabbalah. Yeah. It's like they are so into the idea of God having the masculine and the feminine. Yeah. And it's all balanced. And it's all within God. And we couldn't possibly understand. It's a thing. I don't know if there's a word for it. There certainly couldn't be one like non-binary. How do I describe something that lies outside the gender binary? I don't know.
We'll never know. Actually.
What's the word?
I do, like, I think it's really interesting before we get into Skye's upbringing, but like, I gave this talk a little while. I didn't give a talk. I was on a panel, and the rabbis talk about the human experience all the time, and then through Kabbalah as well. And when you're talking about human experience, you're also talking about sexuality. And when you come to Kabbalah, it's about like we are all like, again, like balanced. We're all like parts of everything. And then Kabbalah gets really crazy, where they're like, you know, like Isaac, the forefather. Well, he actually had a feminine soul.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? And like this guy had this soul, and like
about this on the podcast.
More. And so it's all like, before queerness was an identity that an Orthodox, group had to sort of be reactionary against.
Mm-hmm.
It was just part of Jewish life. Right.
Yes.
Just part of the way that we described our ancestors, which is so fascinating.
And we were actually talking about this story on the podcast with, do you know Leah Forster?
Yeah.
So she was on the podcast.
I know.
You know of.
I follow her on Instagram.
Right. We're all funny Jews on the internet. She brought up that story that it's like the Akedah story, the sacrifice of Isaac, that he was born with this feminine soul. And then after the Akeda, when his dad almost murdered him, his soul changed to being a masculine soul. And that's why he was then ready to marry. And yeah, there's like so much fucked up stuff you could read into that, but also you could read into that like transness is like, chill, whatever.
Yeah.
Isaac was maybe trans.
Well, my favorite example is Joseph. And so when Joseph's mother and his aunt were pregnant at the same time, because they both had the same husband, right? So they were pregnant at the same time, and like the rabbis have this thing of his aunt saw that she was going to have a son, but if she had a son, then her sister wouldn't have a son. So she prayed that the fetuses would switch. So Joseph was originally a girl, but then like Freaky Friday switched with his cousin sister.
Oh my God.
Changed souls. And like, I think there's this thing of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like reading our identities onto the past. And like, we can't say Joseph was trans, but I think there's something like really, like
he was. That's what we're saying.
But I think it's like, you know, what does it mean for someone moving through the world when they weren't born in the right body, right? And like, and those are all things that we are grappling with. And then also what's really interesting is that Joseph is then described in the text and by rabbis as like really feminine, obsessed with his looks and really like, and young and like goes to Egypt and then everyone's like obsessed and in love with him because he's so beautiful. And so it's like this just little effeminate guy moving through the world. And that's really gay.
And it's really gay.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I feel like Orthodox Jews are so good at like being cool with some mystical, magical shit.
So much
and
magic.
Like, what is more mystical and magical than transness?
Yeah.
Of being like, what a freaking miracle. Yeah. I was born in the opposite body.
Yeah.
Like that's a work of magic.
And
you know?
we have magic that we can now give people the opportunity to like live as closely as they can in their body that they were meant to be in.
Yeah.
Which is like, to me, that is magic.
Yeah.
Medicine.
And that's why every young Jew at Limood is trans. I went to a class called Binders in the Mikveh.
Amazing.
It was spectacular. Wow, it was so good.
I miss them.
And it was by Rabbi Jamie Weisbach, who's in New York at Hadar, I think. And we're trying to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, wow.
Really cool. Really cool. Wait, how did you grow up?
Okay, so I grew up an hour south of Sydney, not in community. My dad is Israeli and my mum is Australian, so I am a patrilineal Jew.
Boo, get out.
Get out.
I hate you.
I definitely like grew up with my dad being like, you know, that like you're not actually Jewish, but then telling me like you are Israeli and you are a Jew. So it's like just a really like confusing time for everyone, for me. But yeah, no, I've very much grown up culturally Jewish, not religious, but it's a very important part of my identity, and I think something that I've like gotten closer and closer to as I've kind of grown up. And being in a relationship with Shoshana has been really amazing because I didn't know there were so many modern Orthodox lesbians in the world or in Sydney. So many. I love it. It's so amazing.
I know most of them.
And have you dated most of them?
Honestly, no.
Wow, good for you.
The thing with with regular lesbians, it's everyone dates everyone else. With Jewish lesbians, especially in a small community, it's everyone's related to everyone else.
Oh, God.
And I'm not necessarily related to them, but it does feel like dating in family.
Yeah. Well, lesbianism is genetically passed.
Really?
That's a joke.
Oh, I haven't tell us.
I haven't
Wow.
I need to tell my mom.
Yeah, literally. Wait, we had lost silence. The silence.
have to know about yourself.
Like, tell us more.
Wait, really?
I don't think so.
I will say that 3 out of my 4 sisters are queer.
So it must be something.
So
genetic, your family life.
Genetic Though my identical twin is the one who allegedly is not. So, that's just for the genetic argument.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
But I just...
Like, what went wrong?
What went wrong with one of you? I know. She blew it.
Like, you turned into a comedian.
Okay, so I want to know basically all of your juiciest gossip. Mm-hmm. We were obviously talking a lot of shit off camera, and some of it has to talk on camera is different. But do you have any juicy gossip that we can get into?
I have a story that I actually don't feel bad about sharing on this podcast because I feel far enough removed from the situation. Perfect. Unfortunately, it does start at a shiver. And really,
the juiciest place to start.
Unfortunately, it's like a child's shiver.
Oh,
okay, it's really bad. It's really bad.
Good. What a setup.
So,
okay, get
what
this.
you were saying before in your session.
We need balance.
You need balance. You need to start with something, more serious, more heavy to bring the levity. And so there is levity.
It's levity.
So a friend of mine from my gap year lost a child and was sitting shiva for her child. And horrible. But like it was also kind of COVID times, like just after. And so people are coming in and out of the shiva, and she discovers that her engagement ring is missing. And she's like, oh my God, like what's happening? Looks for it everywhere, can't find it, whatever. Again, I'm hazy on some of because I've heard this from so many different sources, right? So it's like coming in always bits at a time. It's like the Talmud. It's like it gets a retold. Actually, it didn't happen like that.
Said this.
It happened like
something said this.
So she's walking with someone, or her sister's walking with someone, and goes, isn't she friends with, let's call her Tully? Isn't she friends with Tully? And she goes, yeah. She goes, okay, I think I know what happened. And essentially, this person, because it was COVID times, a few months earlier, had like a minyan at her house, right, in like a courtyard. Because no one was going to shul. Everyone's kind of trying to do community things, but they're outside and they're like in communal spaces. And this girl, did I say Talia before? Talia. I don't know what fake name did I get.
Yeah, what fake name? So what very Jew.
So Chaya Mushka. So Tully is at this thing. She doesn't really know this person, but goes like, you have such a lovely house. Can I take myself on a tour? And she goes like, yeah, sure. Goes up on the tour, doesn't think about it. And then I don't know how far down the line it is, but discovers jewelry missing. And is like, the only person this could have been was this random ass Tully who I don't really know, who took herself on a tour of my house.
Iconic.
Basically took the police to confront her, got her stuff back, asked, they somehow kept it hush-hush. But then when my friend's engagement ring goes missing, it starts
we know some time.
Yeah. And so what had happened was at the beginning of Shiva, Tully and my friend were really good friends. And she, people were starting to come into the house, and because she's a religious Jew, she covers her hair. So Tully goes, let me go get you a covering from your room, or let me go.
Oh, she covers her hair, not Tully.
Yeah. Or let me go put this away. So had a reason to go into her bedroom.
Spectacular.
And then it turns out, allegedly, that this Tully had this new jewelry business that she had started, and everyone's like, where is Tully getting jewelry from? And where's she getting all of these jewels? Because she was stealing from the community and then resetting stones and then selling it again.
Insane.
What are you doing?
A shiva for a baby.
Oh my God. Grieving mother. I don't know how many details I'm missing out of this, but if you know Tully, write into the podcast and give us the actual full story. But isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is, oh my God, that's so crazy. What a hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, we respect an entrepreneur.
Yeah. It was also
women in business.
Girl boss.
Girl boss.
I think the other thing is it was in a community where there's a lot of help, right? As in terms of hired help.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I'm pretty sure that people were losing their jobs because it was people kept finding things missing, and the only other real explanation, because why would you think that
Your friend.
And it's also this person who and I knew Tully, right? I knew her also on my gap year, and she's the most Hashem loves you, oh my God, rah rah.
You really kept that secret of where the location.
The accent over. I think I figured it out. The most and a very popular person and a very personable person. So why would you ever think?
Oh,
that's crazy.
No, Tali.
Yeah.
Don't do this, Tali. This is bad.
Yeah.
And is she in some sort of legal situation?
Yeah, still in the community. I don't know how they got around that. But this story came to me in so many different ways. It was really the funniest thing. It was my friend heard it from my friend who doesn't know Tully, heard it from a friend of mine who does know Tully and told it to me. Then, and this is all happening not in Australia. And then I'm sitting and someone texts me and is oh my God, did you hear about Tully? Because it had traveled, because a different person had traveled to this place, heard the story from everyone and brought it back to Australia, a gift. Right. Passing around. Oh my God. And then months later, a different friend went overseas, went to this place, came back and was okay, no, I actually have all of the missing details that we didn't have before. Because I had to sit down with everyone who was involved in the story and figured out the missing pieces.
What is wrong with all of us?
Yeah.
The greatest thing to happen to me in my life is when I hear about people being so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
And also everyone's chill.
Yeah. I think the thing about that story is that you find out, it's resolved. I think it wouldn't be a fun story if it was just
the wedding ring.
The wedding ring.
Oh,
no, that's why it's fun. It's sad. It's sad that she got
Shiva.
Yeah.
No, that's bad.
The justice was served, and that's why it's funny.
And in recreation, Tully will be played by Rachel Sennett.
Yeah.
None of the characters will be played by Jews.
Yeah.
Just want to make that really, really clear.
Well, it will be Rachel Sennett's third Shiva-based movie.
Wait, what's her second?
Her second one is this random movie. I think it's called Sahara. But I thought it was filmed before Shiva Baby, but came out after.
Incredible.
And it's play a Jew in a Shiva-based queer movie for me once.
Yeah.
Play a queer Jew in a Shiva-based movie twice. Rachel Sennett.
Whoa.
Maybe something's happening.
Yeah.
Rachel's a famous listener, probably, of the podcast.
A famous listener of the podcast. And Rachel, we do love you and we support your work. And if you want to be on the podcast, you're a Jew to us.
I feel that's almost how young people are going to start doing conversions. When young people get into clergy, they're Italian.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're likes bagels enough. Jew. Welcome.
Yeah, you didn't really immerse yourself in the mikvah, but you did immerse yourself in our memes.
Yes.
So that's pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
First of all, I love that story.
Thank you.
Because it's so dark.
Yeah.
And it really reminds me every so often on Shabbos, I'll make all of my guests tell me their juiciest gossip.
We should start doing that.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
That's such a good prompt. It started on my birthday because I was what do I want for my birthday present?
It's my friends going overseas and being I bought you something back and it's gossip.
And it's gossip.
Yeah.
All I want for my birthday is really juicy stories.
And I used to make people, I still sometimes make people give their rose and thorn of the week.
Nice.
You know what that is?
Yeah.
And that's pretty good too, because that actually does kind of get to gossip, but it's a lot more focused when you just say, give me the best gossip you've ever heard.
I have to beat around the bush.
And it's all so dark and horrible, and everyone has the time of their fucking lives. The best gossip I heard recently is a whole saga about a surgeon who committed such insane malpractice that he was doing surgeries on he was outlawed from being in the OR. And so he started doing surgeries on people at their bedsides. I know.
I was insane.
Bad. So bad. Bad. No one died, apparently.
Has he been brought to justice?
Yes.
That's how we can talk about it.
Exactly. We can talk about it. Yeah, he got in big trouble. Do you have any gossip?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
I have another gossip to talk about that's incredibly Jewy, which is from the Talmud. And I kind of brought it up in the session, but I feel like I really haven't processed it with queer people, which is the Rebbe Yochanan situation. Yeah. Do you know this?
Maybe.
Explain it.
Okay. I read it. Yeah, I read it recently.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I could possibly know about this. So Rabbi Yochanan is touted in the Talmud as the hottest person to have ever lived. Yeah. They're like, he's so freaking hot, you guys. Like, you don't even get it. Like, sure, there's this list of like super hot people, and it's like David, Joseph, and sure, that doesn't list Rabbi Yochanan, but that's because he's on another level.
He's Helen of Troy, but for the Jews.
Exactly. They say that in the Talmud. The rabbis are like
that's the hottest person you could think of. You're like, Helen of Troy. Anne Hathaway, no. Helen of Troy.
Helen of Troy. Iconically hot. It really gets it.
Oh, Aphrodite's going to be pissed.
Shit. Have you seen any golden apples? Yeah. So Rabbi Yochanan, so freaking hot. He's so hot that he studies outside of the mikvah, because apparently whatever a woman meditates upon before she has sex is what's going to influence her child. And so everyone thinks it's a really good idea for Rabbi Yochanan to sit outside the mikveh for all of these women to look at before they go home and have sex. Iconic.
Amazing.
And then it tells the story that Yochanan is bathing in a river. and this bandit comes on by. What's his name?
Reish Lakish.
Reish Lakish. Kish. Freaking accents. So dumb.
Reish Lakish.
Yeah. And
Bibbidi bubbidi.
Rice Lakish.
How do I shorten that? Can I say Reish?
Yeah.
Is that the wrong shortening? Kishi.
Kishi.
So Kishi comes up and he's like, damn, baby, you're so hot. You're as hot as a woman, so I want to fuck you. And again,
These the exact words, or these your like?
No, that's what it says. Yeah, that's what it says. I wouldn't.
I would never say the two men want to fuck each other.
Yeah, I would never put that out into the world. That's disgusting to me. And he's like, I want to fuck you. And it gets real rapey real quick. But Yochanan is like, hey, look, don't rape me. Okay, instead, you should rape my sister.
Oh.
Yep. And he's like, you should marry my sister. She's even hotter than me. Kishi's like,
It's really cruel intentions coming out of it.
yes.
Like hot sister vibes.
Yeah. Like, isn't this gossip? This is like crazy gossip.
Yeah, this is crazy.
And
If you told me that someone had said
said this in real
and my
life.
friend said no, fuck my sister because she's hot. Like,
If you had told me this was a conversation between two iconic sages of Judaism, I'd be like, LOL, but it is. These are two iconic sages. And so Kishi is like, I'm in. And Yochanan's like, but wait, there's one more qualification. In order to marry my sister, you have to stop being a bandit, and you have to study Torah. And you have to become a rabbi.
the ultimate Kirov move.
It's Chabad is out there.
That's what they should be
like,
doing.
Shit.
They need some hot rabbis.
We need hot
hanging around the mikvah. Write this down.
We love this. Honestly, the amount of homoerotic potential of just of naked men at the mikveh.
Yeah.
And one of them's like, look, instead of banging in the sauna, which we'll do later, trade off, you become a rabbi. And he's like, I love this. So he becomes a rabbi. They study together. Reish Lakish becomes this like iconic rabbi who's like really freaking smart. And they say freaking
smart.
Freaking smart. And Yochanan and Reish Lakish become like really best friends. They sharpen each other's minds.
Wink.
Wink. And then one day they get into this huge argument where Yochanan, they're talking about like the purity of weapons. And Yochanan's like, well, Kishi, baby, you used to be a criminal. You know weapons. Talk about this. And Kishi's like, okay, it's really fucked up that like back when I was a bandit, all I was a back when I was a criminal, all I was a criminal. Now that I'm a rabbi, all I am is a criminal. Like, that's kind of fucked up of you to say. And Yochanan's like, no, fuck you. It's not fucked up of me to say. And again, this huge argument that's so huge that Reish Lakish, are we sure that's his name? Because
I don't want to like say things that are wrong and then get fact checked by like nerds.
Yeah, I know.
As far as I remember from my time studying, Reish Lakish might have been a convert, maybe. If not a convert, was like a Jewish gladiator. And so bandit is like, so like I just wanted to include that because like now reimagine the story with like sweaty, sexy. Oh my God.
Yes.
And it's even better.
It's even better.
Yeah.
Gladiator. Okay, so the former gladiator, it's like he's so upset by this argument that he gets deathly ill. And his wife, Yochanan's sister, comes to Yochanan and is like, apologize to your friend or he's literally going to die. And Yochanan says no. And the former gladiator dies. And then Yochanan is so devastated to lose his BFF, wink, that he dies of sadness. And let's talk about the gay love story, who we would cast in the porn version of this story, and how much were they fucking?
Yeah. Like maybe like a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
But there needs to be some gay tension.
Yeah.
Of course. So there needs to be a period of no fucking.
Of no fucking, because they're like, I'm okay, I'm not gonna fuck you. I'll fuck your sister.
And then there's some brushes and some hands, you know. Or is that just a lesbian?
And it's all
We need more men on the
over.
podcast to tell us how.
We know. Okay, so it's not exactly like this, but it's
How does it work?
How do you get it?
So like they say that it's the motion of the ocean.
Yeah.
So is that
And do they scissor as well? It's impossible to know. I love that every Jewish love story in the frum world is over studying.
Yeah.
Every sex.
Yentl.
It's Yentl. Like every queer
100%.
And I was thinking this because I know quite a few queer Jewish screenwriters who are all working on queer Jewish screenplays, and almost every one of them is about study partners, chavrutas, falling in love.
When it's like a thing.
Yeah.
I like chavrota are like supposed to be the most important relationship besides like your partner, and finding a good person who you can like mentally spar with is held in the same esteem as finding like a good wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hot.
if you haven't seen Yentl?
Yeah. Also, if you want to see Hasodot, watch it. Have you seen Hasodot?
No.
Okay. Israeli movie from like the early mid 2000s, set in Tzfat, in a girls' seminary. Maybe the best movie I've ever seen. And it's about like two roommates, one of whom like doesn't want to be there, but like her dad is forcing her to be there. And then they are also study partners, and one of them is really serious about her study. And then they meet, and then it gets like really weird, and they meet this like French woman who like wants them to help her with like Kabbalah understanding. So they start cracking open the Talmud to like try and figure things out, because, you know, if you're going to do it, you're doing it right, but they don't know how to quite. Right. And then they like fall in love. And then it's like, so it's all of this stuff of like, it's fantastic. It's so good.
Oh my God. That sounds so
it's like the classic. It's like you fall in love over learning. Like it's.
I feel like on Patreon, we should do some watch parties of these movies.
Yeah.
Patreons, write in. Tell us if you'd be into that.
No, do it. Yeah.
I feel like we've gossiped so well. And any final gossips that you were dying to share?
No, but I will go back to when you said how you like ask people at Shabbat tables for their gossip. I was living in Jerusalem for 2 years, and when you don't really know anyone and you're like at a Shabbos table and you're like, what do I do? It's like, here's this really good story.
Yes.
And it's not a story I'm going to share here because I can't. Sorry.
Exclusive.
But I would like tell this story. I'm like, hey, I'm Shoshana. Like, here's a great story. Like you guys want to hear something crazy to endear myself to you? And I tell this story, and it's such a good story, and I tell it in such a good way. Anyway,
but you can't hear it.
You can't hear it. So maybe Patreon.
Will you tell it to me afterwards?
I've kind of already told it to you.
Oh, yeah. It's a great story.
I built it up a lot more. Like, it was all this stuff. And then I arrive at a Shabbat meal, and there's only so many Anglo people in Jerusalem, and like of the same age, and who you're like moving around circles with. And I arrive at the Shabbat meal, and this girl goes, I heard the craziest story. And told me my story. And I was like, that's my piece of gossip that I use to make friendships.
How you know it's a good story.
That's how you know it's a good story.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't think of a better gossip vote of approval than someone being like, have you heard this? Having someone tell you your own story.
Not only have I heard it, I've told it several times.
I write music too, and I write a lot of niguns, and I've never had someone teach me my own nigun, but that
one day
is what
soon by you.
Soon by you. Bizrat Hashem. Amen.
Okay, tell the people where they can find you.
I'm on Instagram, Jewish memes only, and then honestly, if you use my link tree, you can find everything. I'm on Substack. I write a little bit. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook if you don't have Instagram.
Boo.
But yeah, like all of my stuff is kind of linked in my link tree. That's on my Instagram, which is my main space.
Perfect.
I'm Skye Tal on everything.
Skye with an E.
Skye with an E. Yeah, that's me. Sometimes you can see me say a line in a TV show or two, but you know,
KFC.
Pending soon by me.
By you.
Bizrat Hashem. Yes.
And I'm Antonia Lassar. I'm at Antonia Lastar on all social media platforms.
So when I did see that, I thought for a second typo. But then I was like, oh no, Lesta.
Yeah, it's so adorable and is never confusing for anyone at all. And it was a great career choice. My website is antonialassar.com, and you can find all of my show information there. And if you're in LA, there are all these singing events that I do, so you should come to those. If you made it to the end of this episode, like, your fellow Yenta, we love you, you love us. This is a good thing. Give our Patreon a listen. Patreon.com/Yenta. It's so juicy over there. It's so good. There's a long discussion of one of our former guests got into a very difficult Israel situation that I feel like is just like a really kind of iconic examination of how the queer community is dealing with Jews and Israel right now. And it's good goss. So check that out. And if not Patreon, subscribe. Literally right now, whatever platform you're on, just hit subscribe. What could happen here?
Can I add something else once you've finished?
Yeah, that's a very Limood thing for you to do.
I know I wore a stupid hat today, but I didn't think I'd be on a podcast. So I just feel like I need to address it before my friends message me being like, why the fuck are you wearing this stupid ass hat on this podcast? Okay, I didn't think I'd be doing this today, and I'm trying to make myself feel better about wearing the hat.
You have to sound off in the comments and tell her it looks great.
I'm trying to pep myself into like being comfortable to wear the hat, but I feel like every time I walk into a room, everyone's like, she doesn't usually wear a hat like that. And now I'm on a podcast.
I think it's really important to know that, like, for months, she has been saying to me, Baby, do you think that I could pull off one of those page boy hats?
There's a little Irish man on TikTok who wears it, and I love him.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry, I'm wearing a stupid. I know I'm wearing the hat. Okay.
You're giving very little Irishman right now.
It's great.
This like quarter zip sweater.
Like I needed to say it, otherwise I'd regret it.
I'm giving like the nana.
Yes, you are. You're both
Yes.
giving very cute Irish couple.
Yes, I bought this from
Soon by you. He's Red Hashem Mamesa, yes.
So listeners, write in, tell Shoshana how much you love her hat. Please. Thanks for listening. We love you. Kiss, kiss. Bye.